What do you? You know, obviously, you got some camps that say about only the Israelites can be saved.
Yeah.
Do you believe that?
Yeah.
Oh, you do. Okay. But where? Because this is the thing about that I've always kind of wanted to find out is that wouldn't that doctrine only have come about like in the New Testament?
The Israelite only.
Yeah, only Israel. Yeah.
It would stem from the New Testament.
Yeah, but because what I noticed is that when the Hebrew Israelite camps they mention that, they have to use mostly the New Testament to back up what they're saying.
But you can use the Old Testament as well.
Yeah, but you know what I think I know why they kind of don't use the Old Testament as much is because in the Old Testament the term Gentile has a more definite meaning.
Of course, yeah.
Whereas in the New Testament, because it's post-scattering.
Yeah, but there was so that's what, in the New Testament, it's because they're writing in a language that is not theirs. Yeah, in Greek.
Yeah.
And obviously, Greek doesn't have as much as linguistic versatility in terms of words, etc. So certain words are interchangeable.
Yeah.
Like Gentiles, for example.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of passages in the Old Testament. I think it's Ezekiel 20, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, yeah, that's the history, including the restoration.
Yeah. So you can see from there that they always had an inclination to go into the Gentiles and becoming a Gentile.
Yeah.
You know, worshipping Baal, the gods of Canaanites, etc. And I think in Ezekiel 20, if I'm not mistaken, so I can't be wrong, sorry. Let me just get it right.
Which part you are?
It said I will bring you out from the people.
Yeah.
2034. I will bring you out from the people, and will gather you out of the countries wherein ye are scattered, with a mighty hand, and with a stretched out arm, and with fury poured out. I will bring you into the wilderness of the people, and there I will plead with you face to face. And we see this promise from the Most High all over the Old Testament, where it's not saying that I'm going to save the nations where you are, but I'm going to get you out of those nations, because holy essentially means being separate.
But you know that when I read like Ezekiel 20, what it reads out to me is basically it's God fulfilling the promise from Deuteronomy 30. So he'd already told them in the desert that they would get trucked out of the land, and they'd be in captivity. And then while they're in the captivity, he tells them what they should do. So what this kind of does, it gives you a little bit more detail of how he's going to do that process. But don't you? Because the one that I sort of think as a big one for regards whether the other nations being saved.
Okay.
Is Isaiah 49.
Didn't lie to the Gentiles, yeah? Didn't lie to the Gentiles, yeah?
Yeah, but it's the way that he says it. All right, yes. So if you go from verse 5, it says, "And now saith the Lord that formed me from the womb to be his servant, to bring Jacob again to him. Though Israel be not gathered, yet shall I be glorious in the eyes of the Lord, and my God shall be my strength. And he said, It is a light thing that thou shouldest be my servant, to raise up the tribes of Jacob, and to restore the preserved of Israel. So the tribes of Jacob and the preserved of Israel, who are they?
So the tribes of Jacob are the 12 tribes.
Yeah,
and the preserved of Israel are actually there's another term that the prophets used in the Old Testament as Ephraim.
Right.
And that's also synonymous to the northern tribe.
Yeah. So because the thing about this verse 6 is he mentions those two, and then he says, I will also, so notice he says also, give thee for a light to the Gentiles, that thou mayst be my salvation unto the ends of the earth. So if he says, I presume the also is in, because this doesn't have the italics, so I presume it's not in italics. I don't know if, does your one have the...
No, but to be personally, yeah, it does that sometimes to be in italic.
All right, but
I don't really look much into that because the sort of like Canaanite Phoenician language hasn't got any sort of italic or capital letters or anything. It's a straight up language.
Yeah.
You know, so it's through the spirit that we're trying to understand this, rather than trying to be dictated by any
So this is kind of like reading how I see it, where he's going to restore Israel, all 12 tribes, and then there'll be a light to the Gentiles.
Yeah.
So so what would you think that when he says light to the Gentiles, what do you think that means?
So a light to the Gentiles, let's go into Isaiah 63, yeah? We start from 1. 60 and 3. We start from 1. 60 and 1.
Yeah.
Arise, shine, for that light is come, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon thee. For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people. But the Lord shall arise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee. And the Gentiles shall come to that light, and kings to the brightness of that rising. Because this is part of a restoration promise that is made anyway. In Joel, what we say that we restore all the years that I know that in French, but it's sort of like sorcerers have devoured Joel. I'll bring them to Joel actually. Because I've got some scriptures that I remember in French.
All right. Okay.
Rather than English.
Yeah.
Joel. Okay. Joel 2 and 25.
Yeah.
Says, it says, I will restore to you the years that the locusts have eaten, the conqueror and the caterpillar and the palmerworm, my great army which I sent among you. And you shall eat in plenty and be satisfied. And praise the name of Yahweh, your power, that has dealt wonderfully with you, and my people shall never be ashamed. And it goes into Isaiah 45 as well, that we will never be ashamed when we are fully restored, because it's the restoration process. And once we're fully restored, our light will shine through the nations, because the nation will see the living power with his chosen nation, according to what's been written, and then we will be teaching them the law.
Yeah, so what you just said there, I think that goes against the majority of One West, doesn't it?
No, they do believe it, but the way, in order to understand what they're saying, some of them actually, I don't see them as a sort of like a one body, but in order to understand what they're saying, you need to understand what each one of them teaches, their doctrine. So there's a doctrine where we believe that we ought to be restored first, because we are to be restored, and then we are to bring the light to the Gentiles.
Yeah.
So for 1,000 years, when we reign with Christ, we teach the nations to go by the law of the Most High. And then we go by the law. So everyone will have to go by the law. And then we're teaching the light, because the light is essentially the spirit of the Most High, which is the knowledge in the scriptures.
Yeah.
You know, so we have to bring it out of them. But where I differ with some Israelites is that we can't essentially do it right now because we are being restored at the same time.
Oh yeah, no, because if you read all of the prophecies, it says you have to be brought into the land first.
Exactly.
Yeah, so the light bit can't happen until, because obviously when we're at the land, all they do is laugh at us, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
So that's not really going to happen like now. But I don't know, have you ever heard of a group, One Body in Yahweh Shai?
Yeah,
because I have to admit, I listened to them quite a bit. And the bit they love saying is whenever someone European walks by, he loves saying to them that they'll be in his cotton field and he's going to be working them 15 hours and he's giving them the whip just like how our people got. And you can see that he like enjoys a bit saying that. You can see he's obviously saying it out of revenge.
I mean, I understand that, to be honest, because what you reap is what you sow. Essentially, Esau and his tribes, because I believe they're Esau, the Edomites, they will reap what they've sown, and then it will be rounded onto them double. It's not going to be down to us. It's going to be down to what they have done.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I know. The reason we know that has to happen is because of the state we're in. So if he's already the state that we're in. So if he's already done such a good job destroying us, and then look what happened to Egypt. So if any other nation thinks they're going to get away with it,
they're not going to get away with it. No. But essentially, we as the chosen people, and we're hoping. I hope to make it, but I'm looking forward to execute righteousness in everything I do. And obviously, according to what Esau has done, he will reap the same, even run the double onto what he's done. And I enjoy actually seeing, according to Revelation 13:9, that this is the faith of the saint. Because when I was a Christian, I couldn't understand that word. I was like, how can a saint hope that someone can go into captivity? I never did understand it.
Because that's the thing. Because if you go by what the Europeans have taught, it wouldn't make sense. Because the problem is we came up like now when everything's all cozy, so we never went through it.
Give everybody and stuff. And I couldn't reconcile the fact that the Creator would punish those people and send them into slavery again because it goes against what I've been taught. And I realized what I was taught was a lie. And in order to accept this truth, we had to be in the spirit. We had to be in the spirit of the prophets, and then also, like when I was younger, my spirit always led me to kind of like reconnect with my brothers from across the world, across the Atlantic. I couldn't understand it. So I had a strong connection with the Negroes in Brazil, and I could feel the pain. Like I was 13 years old, I was online checking the history, how they ended up there, how they looked like us. And I went to America, and it's just like a spiritual journey that was happening. And I couldn't understand that strong connection because a lot of people I was growing up with, they didn't really care. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people in our community, they just see African Americans, Afro-Brazilians, and all these people as, okay, they're the others. But for me, it's something that it was always in the back of my mind until I made it a goal for me to travel there to see them.
Oh, you've been there?
Yeah.
All right.
I had to go there. I had to be there. You know.
But actually, you didn't go to that place with the dump where all the children go, did you?
Where?
You know, there's supposed to be some dump place where the children go to. You know, the discarded ones go to.
No.
Oh, all right, yeah. All right.
But I saw that, I spoke to a couple, and then I kind of felt a bit at ease, but there was something there. So it was more like a journey to understand what happened. And then the pain of the journey, it's something that my mind always carries. You know, because I feel like I've been into that journey, but I've never been to that journey.
What they've been.
I feel like I've been through that journey because every time like we see it on TV and it just comes up to mind and stays for. And I realized actually, like reading Ecclesiasticus, and the concept of regeneration. That we are what we were before,
right,
and we shall be again. And at some point it says the thing that has been is man. And then how I understood it is that I've been through that journey, not in this current life under the sun, but through an ancestor before,
right.
which was essentially me in a different generation. You know, and the reason why I always feel that connection is because we are essentially through the scriptures we need to kind of like merge everything together and serve the Most High in order to kind of like get us out of this captivity with truth.
Well, I suppose that's the, because it's interesting when you say that about you know, when you read that, like the requirements that God has for the restoration, those are things that the church don't preach. So they actually avoid anything that God says that the people who are scattered should do. And it's there in the Bible, and so you know that because these preachers, they're taught at like seminary. So you know,
they're very textbook.
Yeah, but you know that the seminary place, it's like they know which parts of the Bible to avoid as well. Teaching,
I put a comment on YouTube because there was a video of Snoop Dogg. Did an interview with a radio station in America, and it was talking about a few of the world and stuff, and then also mentioned a part where it's like the things that they're waking up to, the truth, and they mentioned the fact that Jesus was black, was woolly haired, he was telling people woolly haired, he had a skin like bronze, and it looked like him.
It was Snoop saying that.
Snoop Dogg, a few days ago actually. Yeah.
All right, but
it's a viral video. This guy.
Right. Okay, but I suppose he's a bit late to the party.
He knew it because there's another brother that did a video, which I've seen in 2012, where he put himself as Moses and he was wearing the shield of David as well.
Right.
And he was literally saying the stuff as if he knew the truth. And you can tell that he knew the truth from back then.
Well, actually, that wasn't I forgot his name. Because they keep saying there's a certain rapper who, I forgot what his name is.
KRS-One.
Huh?
KRS-One.
No, it's some, you know, the more famous. Huh?
Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Kendrick Lamar knows the truth as well.
Yeah.
J. Cole knows the truth as well. You know, there's Nick Cannon knows the truth. I mean, the famous one knows, but they can't really do anything about it because they are so ingrained into this Babylonian system where fame is part of their DNA. Because they're so carnally driven, their DNA is so carnal.
Yeah. I just want to go just under the shade a little bit. Yeah.
So essentially, they know the truth, but it's harder for them to come out.
Yeah.
And it makes more sense now because when Yahusha said it's harder for a rich to go to the kingdom of God than a camel to go through the needle.
Yeah.
And it makes sense now because me, I wasn't even famous before, but I was a popular guy when I used to live up north. I was quite popular with the ladies, with the guys. I used to throw parties and things and organizing travels in Europe and things like that. You know? The proper laddish thing to do.
So that went down to Ibiza in Spain.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
You know? So I used to be that guy, and also I'm an artist and fine artist as well. So I had avenues to kind of like where I was planning to kind of like do my work, and I knew I was going to be known within the art because of the contact that I have. Or I had. They're redundant now, but I was aiming for that life.
But
it was. Sorry?
No, but you realise though that you said about how it's redundant.
Yeah.
But remember, look what happened to Moses. So I think it's a case that anyone who's going to be doing something serious, that God has to take them through that. Well, you have to be willingly lose stuff which could have done well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then that's when you know that you're this, because the ones who try and keep it and try and half do it, that that isn't going to come to anything.
For me it was hard in the beginning. to kind of like not be that guy anymore. Like your friends are invited you to parties, you can't go, you just don't want to be there, and you have to tell them, you have to explain to them, and the way they ask you, also you have to explain to them. It's like, it doesn't make sense. You get in texts of people saying, oh yeah, what happened to you since you moved back to London? Well, you okay? Are you okay? Is everything alright? They're thinking that you became like a sort of like a suicidal terrorist to me or something like that, you know what I mean? The way they text. But then you just realize, you know what? These people, they can't really see the fact that I'm trying to do things the right way. It's not really part of their interest to help me to get there.
Well, no, but they wouldn't, because they know, they probably know that when it comes to stuff like that, they do have to give up the stuff they enjoy, and the majority just ain't going to do it. So if you're with like a majority of people who are like that, then of course they're going to be on the opposite side.
There was a girl that texted this girl that I'm with, said, oh yeah, what happened to him? Yeah, don't listen to him, because she's waking up as well, you know? And then so her girlfriend was like, you became so weird, it's because of him, you were listening to him. You know, he was so much better. And she said the line, I was so shocked. She said, he was so much cool, he was so much better when he was smoking weed and partying. I was listening, I was like, how can someone say that? You know what I mean? It was so much better when he was smoking weed and partying.
But what that really means, he was so much closer to them. That's the thing. And you know this thing about weed as well. I don't hear it mentioned much, but you know that drugs are something that the powers can basically use to control people. Because like back, do you know about like back? I think it was in the 14 or was it 13th century or 14th century when they had the peasants' revolt over here. So obviously back then, these guys were living like a real life. There's no TV, no parties or whatever. So what basically happened is the rich people kept increasing the tax they had to pay on the land. So eventually they just cracked and just raided the rich. And it's because at that time there was nothing to keep them asleep. So when they were feeling the pain of like not being able to keep up with the rent, etc., it was going right into their head, and nothing was.
Very visceral, isn't it?
That's right. But now what they're doing with the way that they can run up the debt, so people, because they give them an illusion of money with the credit card and other forms of loans, it's like it doesn't, because their brains are also kept asleep by the things like the drugs and even TV and music. It does. All of that, because it keeps them asleep so well, they just don't notice like what's happening. Because I've actually got this presentation lined up. I was supposed to have finished it last year, but I still haven't got around to it. I've got all the text and all the videos I want to show, but I just got to put it together. And what it basically shows is how the money system works, and the fact that, you know, this current money system, I don't know if you know that basically if people don't take out loans and spend their credit cards, the money system will collapse. So it would actually, basically the bank will have to shut down.
Is that the reason why they would score us really low if we don't have any credit card or anything like that? So you have to have a credit card to be a bit, you have more credit score, etc. The bank actually told me that you need to borrow money.
Because that's what a credit score is. It's how well you pay back.
Increase your borrow and pay back.
But then while you're doing that, the interest that you pay, that's how they get rich. So it's in their interest to brainwash people into credit score, so they think it means something. But in reality, brainwashing them that way just gets them to keep the money system going round. That's what it's doing. It's not actually a benefit to them.
It's not.
No.
I was talking to a lady outside, a Christian lady out there, and we were talking about everything around us is against us. Every little thing is against us, from the system, all the way to education, all the way to the very sort of natural habitats. You know, the air is against us because it's so polluted.
Oh, but it's funny you say that. You know, actually, this current economical system, do you know how it works? basically the only way that they can keep this economy going is they have to burn the earth up. So it's a simple case of the current generation of rich people. All they're doing is burning the earth just to enjoy themselves. Basically, that's what they're literally doing.
Destroying this actual planet.
Yeah.
And then this is I think this is the very first time, if I'm not mistaken, in the entire history of the world, that a civilization will destroy his own habitat in order to think he can survive or be above other people.
Yeah, in order to improve, somehow think they're improving themselves or improving something.
Or to be more elitist.
Yeah.
You know, they would destroy the earth, they would destroy the sea, they would destroy the food, they would destroy water, putting in fluoride and putting in fetus into vaccines.
Alright, yeah.
Putting in nastiness into food.
Well, the worst one is the processed meat, because the processed meat is just literally the whole animal. That's why they processed meat is so popular. Because you don't have to like sit there and take the skin. You know how it says in the Bible the Levites have to do it? Because God makes them do it the labor-intensive way. You take the skin off and then you take off the tendons and take out the... But when they want to give you a processed burger, all they do is get the cow, just drag it into the grinder, and then your burger just comes out. They just fry it, and that's it, job done. So you don't have to go through the manual labor of actually having to separate everything out to get the proper meat.
It's ridiculous, but there's nothing we can do, to be honest. That's one of the reasons why I'm coming to realize, you know what, there's nothing we can do but to have faith.
But here's the thing though, is that you know this presentation I'm trying to do. One of the reasons I'm kind of doing it is that when I read in the Bible, it's as if we are supposed to like do something, because actually, I just remembered about that. I think it's in Acts 17 where it gives an example of is it 17? It might be 19 actually. It actually gives you an example of what's supposed to happen. I think it's 19. Oh no, it's 17. Yeah.
But the reason why I mention faith is because through faith we obtain the mercy of the Most High, because we believe in the sacrifice of Yahushua. You know, and we obtain the Holy Spirit that will guide us to truth. And that's essentially something that's going to teach us to kind of like go around the snares of the devil.
Yeah, but it's just, I do think that because this is another thing, is that they kind of don't teach in the churches, is that why was it Jesus was putting so much emphasis on the fact that these disciples would get killed? So it's like he was saying that the message he gave them was one which was going to be very contentious.
They don't emphasize on that in church. They don't emphasize on that in church.
Yeah.
Because he said so many times, you shall be killed, you shall be hanged, you shall do all these things.
Be
in my
beheaded,
namesake, beheaded.
Yeah, I know.
And also in Revelation it says that as well. Those who were beheaded.
Yeah. And the thing about it is, that's the other thing that makes you think a bit of Islam, is that it's interesting that it mentions beheaded.
Yeah.
And so it's almost like he's giving you a clue of who's going to be the power that's actually, because they like doing that sort of stuff.
So it's a cultural thing, isn't it?
All right, here we go. This is Acts 19. Yeah, I'm supposed to start at 21. It says, after these things were ended, Paul purposed in the Spirit, when he had passed through Macedonia and Achaia, to go to Jerusalem, saying, after I have been there, I must also see Rome. So he sent into Macedonia 2 of them that ministered unto him, Timotheus and Erastus, but he himself stayed in Asia for a season. And at the same time there arose no small stir about that way, for a certain man named Demetrius, a silversmith, which made silver shrines for Diana, brought no small gain unto the craftsmen, whom he called together with the workmen of like occupation, and said, Sirs, ye know that by this craft we have our wealth. Moreover, ye see and hear that not alone at Ephesus, but almost throughout all Asia, this Paul hath persuaded and turned away much people, saying that they be no gods which are made with hands, so that not only this our craft is in danger to be set at naught, but also that the temple of the great goddess Diana should be despised, and her magnificence should be destroyed, whom all Asia and the world worshippeth. And when they heard these sayings, they were full of wrath, and cried out, saying, Great is Diana of the Ephesians. And the whole city was filled with confusion. And having caught Gaius and Aristarchus, men of Macedonia, Paul's companions in travel, they rushed with one accord into the theatre. So, obviously, going on is just the sort of altercation that they're having because of this. But it's interesting that what Paul's preaching actually is having an effect on their money flow. So, and the thing about it is, the stuff that Hebrew Israelites are saying, that they're preaching, that's actually affecting the money flow of.
Churches as well.
Yeah. So it's almost as if that's why I like listening to Hebrew Israelites, because as far as I'm concerned, they speak a lot of truth, and that really the church itself should be bringing a message which should be affecting the money. And it should actually have some impact and making some of the profits go down. And if it does that,
that's where tribulation will come. Essentially, because they know that this is what they have to do.
Yeah.
Because that's his job to do that. His job is to kill us.
Yeah.
But they can't do it now because he can't justify that.
Yeah, that's it.
We need to find a reason to justify the killing of the saints.
Yeah.
Again. But then also, it's so true, because this is the mindset that we need to be in. Essentially, coming out of the carnal mindset, because Babylon won't give us any sort of liberation, mental liberation, spiritual liberation, or even monetary liberation, because everything comes in at a cost.
Yeah.
The rich guys, the Jay-Z's and all these people that our people worship, they've sacrificed so much in blood in order to be there.
Yeah.
And their purpose is to deceive us in order to get more souls to them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there's nothing good in here. And then being an anti-system, the Bible will automatically place you as a person that is anti-system by the way of life, by what we eat, by thoughts, meditations, etc. Because we meditate on things that the rest of the world aren't.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, a lot of the money that they make is basically on people trying to use up their time. But the thing about it is, in the Bible, what is the way we're supposed to use up time is actually like with other people, helping them, bringing the word to them, other things with them. It's actually, the majority is doing stuff.
Acts, isn't it? It's the book of Acts, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just going around, spreading the word, and speaking to people to wake up. Really, I always pray to the Most High to kind of like keep the spirit with me, because I cling on to that. Because that's the other thing I have now, because there's nothing else.
But are you with or have you found a group who are doing any?
Yeah, so I was with a group. I was in a group before.
Yeah.
But I felt like I needed to kind of like grow on myself, not to piggyback onto a group.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I know myself as well. I have a tendency to sort of like piggyback as well. You know, and I have a tendency to kind of like relax and chill and all these things. So I want to graft. I want to graft with the Most High first, and then congregate as well. I do congregate here with a few brothers.
Yeah.
But I know I need to kind of like seek the Most High and do a cleansing, get rid of all the weaknesses that I know that I have.
Yeah.
You know, and then I would hide within the group. So I wanted to become all naked to the Most High, because He knows me as I am, and present myself as I am.
Yeah.
And also present myself as Paul says, a living sacrifice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I work on my weaknesses, I work on my laziness, I work on my slothfulness and all these things through the scripture. And so this is what I've been doing for the past 2 months. And I know about the gatherings and all these things. So this is what's going to happen in the next stage now, because it's important to gather.
Yeah, because it's like I'm trying to. I mean, because like one of the things I'm trying to do is I only just really started it recently, was like on Facebook, and I know a lot of people don't like it. But the one thing I was surprised at is that it's actually the easiest platform to actually like start off on, because I spent just like a little bit on advertising, and I was kind of surprised because the first time I spent some money, I got like 70 likes. So
Wow. Nice.
well, that was just, I just went for like London.
Yeah.
So what I thought, okay, since I could see what the Bible says, what the people that God's after are like. So what I did is I did another advert, just started it a couple of days ago, and I actually I went to the area, so I chose all the basically, you know, when I listened to the Hebrew Israelites, I just sat down and thought of what are all the cities they mentioned. So I was trying to remember all the ones they mentioned and just selected them.
Yeah.
And then I chose all the Caribbean, and then all the big cities here, because I know our people are there. And then I just chose, I think, Nigeria and Ghana. Actually, I should have chosen Zimbabwe. I think I didn't choose that one. And so I had the advert like running, and it was running for like a day and a half. So I went back there, looked on the stats, and it said 450 likes, and I thought, wow.
450.
Yeah. And that was a bit. And the thing about it is, I've looked at other. I remember I used to look at some church pages, like when I had like the 70, they had like 160 and one had 300 and something, and I thought, wow, they got quite a bit. So when I noticed that, I did that, and 2.5 days later, I'm just shot straight past them, just because I chose.
Right,
Yeah. So I targeted actual areas where I thought more of our people are, and it seems like it actually has the desired effect.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, it shows that people are looking for truth, you know, something that they've never heard before.
Yeah.
It's so simple, but I was sharing a word with a security guy who at work, and we never really spoke into details. And then he's about 80 years old, maybe 75.
He's still working.
Yeah, maybe 75 or something.
Don't tell me he burned his life out, so he's got to get money.
Maybe I'm not giving him justice saying 80. You know? It might be 75. Maybe 70. 70 to 75.
Yeah.
And I was told there was like this Ethiopian woman who was telling me about Christianity later. So and I was giving her scriptures, and the security guy from Ghana heard, and he started asking me questions.
Right.
Because it's so uncommon to hear someone talking about the Bible at work, especially in the media environment.
Well, true, yeah.
Where everything is just like so, worldly. So he started asking me questions, and I told him, I was like, we are the actual Jews of the Bible, and it was something new for him. I was like, okay. I took a paper, I started writing down the scriptures, and also where the Bible talks about getting the remnant from Africa, etc. Writing it down, give it to him, and gave him a couple of books to read. 2 weeks later, he told me that he's ordered a book.
All right.
And then 4 weeks later, he came to me and was like, it's amazing the things that were there, but it was hidden, but it wasn't hidden. And instead of reading, was like, this is actually true. Yeah. And the good thing that he said he's going to speak to his son, so he can share all these things to his son as well.
Well, that's what he's supposed to do. Is is it Philippian jailer, I think, isn't it? Yeah.
People have the knowledge for truth, really, a hunger for truth.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's in certain places. Because I bet if I'd chosen somewhere went for like China, Russia, the more posh areas in America, then done the advert, and I see like the numbers would be like half
They
or
won't.
yeah.
Because they all attract each other, you know. The people of the same mindset would attract each other to live in the same area.
Yeah.
Whereas us, we don't have to do anything, but systematically we are put in the same areas already. You know, but if you've got money, you live in Chelsea.
Yeah.
Like someone like Stormzy comes from our area, as soon as he got his money, he bought a house in Chelsea. You know what I mean? Because they live where comfort is, where they don't need anything else.
Yeah.
Because they think they have their own salvation sorted out.
Or the other thing is they feel it's more peaceful away from our people.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, some of our people are destroyed, but you do have to like be with them to like calm them down, isn't it?
They are ashamed.
Yeah.
Literally, they are ashamed.
Yeah. Yeah, no. So I think that what's kind of happening with the, because I can see the progress they're making in the Mali guys, where their leader keeps on saying about how he's going to have them in the cotton field, because he's the only one who like really goes on about that, whereas other groups I've noticed they're more quiet when it comes to things like that.
I mean, essentially, it sounds really harsh, but this is what's going to happen, because I don't see us wearing polyester.
What's that?
Polyester in the kingdom. Or 80% plastic.
Oh, you mean?
We're not going to be wearing plastic on our body, because we're not supposed to wear plastic.
Oh no, but remember, is it in Leviticus where God says that the priest mustn't wear something that causes sweat?
Yeah.
So he says it has to be linen, isn't it? So he's actually telling you that the linen is the best material for not causing sweat.
So we have to choose the best material, and then we have to have the right clothes for it. No Israelites will do that, because they're not supposed to do that.
But it's funny you say that. You know, group GOCC?
Yeah.
I was watching the video he just put out a couple of weeks ago. He actually says that they've actually got their own building, and they've got sewing machines in it, and they've got people making their t-shirts.
Which is good. That's good. But in the kingdom, because the kingdom is just a new government in this world, where they are the ones that are going to bring us the riches.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to bring us the 100% fabric, and everything that we'll be wearing will be organic, and they have to do that for us, because we've done that for them.
Yeah.
You know, and then we picked the rubber in Congo, being enchained after slavery was abolished, but people in Congo were still being enchained, picking rubber.
Actually, what are they doing now in Libya?
Yeah.
Because they're still doing that, aren't they?
Yeah. So all these things, they will have to kind of like do it, because for me, a new government, I'm looking forward to the kingdom, because I'm looking forward to living in a world that is healthy. You know, the air you breathe, you're kind of like living again. The water you drink, the materials that we wear, not having to think about or whether it's causing us cancer or anything like that.
But you know the only reason we're in this position about being controlled, like what we can buy and wear, etc. It's just because of the. Oh yeah, that's the other thing I should find out from you. Who do you think the whore of Babylon is?
I think it's America.
Right. Okay. Because I
might be mistaken, but I think it's America.
Yeah. Because the reason I asked that is because of the, like the cause for the problems which are like happening in the earth.
Yeah.
And like when you read in Revelation 17 and 18, it gives you the description of the whore of Babylon, and it says about how actually this is going on because it's actually quite long. Well, it's not that long, but because if you go to Revelation 17 and 1, it says, and there came one of the 7 angels which had the 7 vials and talked with me, saying, Come unto me, come hither. I will show unto you the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk or the wine of her fornication. So it's just the way it says there about how the inhabitants have been made drunk. So it's the fact that they're being made drunk in like pretty much every country. So that's why I'm more thinking that the whore of Babylon is actually it's the system that basically controls the rulers of the earth through money to get them to work against their people, because then that obviously then makes it so that the people who are lower down are in captivity. But the fact he says that they're made drunk. So what the whore does, from what I see, the whore supplies like because he mentions about sorceries later on. So it's the whore that supplies the actual sorcery, which is used to keep them asleep. So that's why I'm thinking it's not just one country. It's more a combination of, I would say, the combination of the banks, the entertainment industry, and the government. So all three of them, they basically never go against each other, because they know if they did, then it would break down like the illusion. So they're the three big ones.
So there's like a breakdown of like London, Washington, and Rome. Like the religious side of it, the monetary side of it, and the military side of it as well. But I think wherever I go, there is an American influence in every single culture, where people are aspiring to be or to act like an American.
But you realize though that because of how new America is, what America is doing now was inherited from the Europeans anyway.
Of course, it's America's product of Europe.
And then the Europeans, before it's only when the Romans fell that they managed to raise up in like stature, because basically the Mediterranean was like the power. Well, first it was Africa was the powerhouse. Then when God took Africa out, then Mediterranean became the powerhouse. So any country around there, like Italy, Greece, Turkey, they suddenly received the power that seemed to have gone from the African countries. And then now it's moved up from the Mediterranean up to the north, and then it kind of like went across the sea to America. So it's like it traveled.
It is traveling. I mean, America is actually like a new nation. Literally, it's been built for that purpose.
That's it. It wasn't built by some like the righteous people who decided to come. No, it was.
It's been built from the wicked amongst the Greco-Roman ideologists who have pushed forward their ideology through the Enlightenment era. They brought it forth.
From the French, isn't it? When they were killing.
French, and from the Germans as well, because. In Germany, you have a great influence in terms of in a philosophy field. The thinkers, the great thinkers of the Europeans came from the Germans as well.
But remember, it was first in Greece, isn't it? So that travelled north as well.
Of course, it's moved all across. Germany. You have Kant, the rational thinking. You had Descartes in France, Cartesian spirit, having a Cartesian spirit, having a spirit of a rational spirit, taking anything. Like it's just like a mechanism of thinking that Descartes came up with.
Oh, that's the name of the guy. Right.
The philosopher, a French philosopher, and also you had the British philosophers as well. So they were all working together, bringing in this enlightenment of the Western society as the new god of the new sort of godless super beings, because they were thought to themselves that they ascended into a superior state of a human being.
And it's funny you say that. Have you ever seen the picture they show? I don't know where it is. You know the one. It's supposed to be in some American building. Where it's got is it supposed to be George Washington or one of those presidents? He's got him sitting on a throne, and there's like these like women who are like angels beside him. Because I remember seeing it's in one of the programs, which was talking about
Is that the one that sits there like that?
Yeah, he's sitting on the chair.
Is that Lincoln?
Yeah?
Is that Lincoln?
No, it's one of the ones before. It might have been Washington but it's a picture which is on like the ceiling and it's like circular.
Yeah.
So you see him, he's on the throne.
Okay,
yeah. He's on the throne, and then there's like some women I think on either side, but it's the fact that he's just a normal man, but he's putting himself in that image like he's some sort of super guy sitting on the throne.
They did, I grew up in Europe, right? So European culture was something that was natural to me. And I was taught to kind of like look at my culture in Africa as something that is primitive and low whatsoever. So we grew up aspiring and then wanting to become rational like Kant or people like that, like thinking like that. And then when you read with the spirit now, when you read it, you're like, these people think that they're actually gods.
And you know what's worse about it is that they basically, the Europeans talk a good game, but if you just physically look at what happened, you notice that the actual big constructions happen in Africa and the Mediterranean.
Of course, yeah.
And then you go up the north and all these little flat buildings where they just take some bricks and put it on top of each other. But somehow the Egyptians, they're like superpower when it comes to building. They could get this big block like up in the sky and lift it somehow with some magic or whatever onto another block. But the Europeans, they just had no clue how.
But personally, I think the blessing of Jacob was also a blessing of his spiritual power. Because it says Jacob was perfect. When it says simple, I don't know if you've explored that before.
What's that?
Jacob was plain.
Oh, when it describes him after he was, the bit where it describes him after he was born.
So when you look into that word, plain, 25:27, Genesis 25:27. So that word plain, it's a strong H 8535. If you look into it, Tawam or Tam. And it essentially means pious, complete, upright. But then when you go into the blue letter, it's actually, it gives you like a proper description of that word in Hebrew.
Yeah.
Because when I was reading it before as a Christian, I was like, oh yeah, it was plain, it was just simple. In French, it says it was simple.
All right, yeah.
And I couldn't really understand it. And then until a brother just broke it down actually. 25:27, right?
هو فيديو وين كان يطلع على
So it's Tam, and the first description is perfect, complete. The second, complete and perfect. One who lacks nothing in physical strength, beauty, etc. Sound, wholesome, an ordinary, quiet sort of person, complete, morally innocent, having integrity, one who is morally and ethically pure. It's like every single adjective to kind of like show that person was perfect in everything, in physical strength, in beauty, in morality. So Esau has missed out on that blessing. Of course, it wasn't meant to go to him anyway. And then essentially it cannot understand how other civilizations will manage to build things like pyramids using sort of like they call it magic, but this spiritual understanding of the elements of the ether.
Well, even the South Americans could do it as well.
Yeah. So you understand the elements, you understand the electromagnetic field that surround us.
Yeah.
How you can create energy out of thin air. Because in Nigeria, the young guys are creating energy out of water. Like they have the spiritual understanding it's innate in them to create, where Esau would have to be in a laboratory and to develop all these things. But when you go back into that, he saw it somewhere and he just went into the lab to make it a bit more to appropriate that invention.
And the other thing I think for why they raided the Pharaoh's tombs is I think that Exodus was a little bit to blame for that, because when they saw the ease with which those magicians could turn their rods
into snakes.
So you could bet they were digging around in Egypt trying to find where are those parchments.
The secret. What's the secret? They're obsessed with the secret. In all their films, the Discovery films, we found a new city. They've got some parchments. They've got some texts, ancient texts. They're obsessed with that ancient text. And it's something that happened as well in the medieval time when they were coming up to power again before the Renaissance. They discovered magical texts, the Kabbalah, etc.
The writings.
The writings and texts and all these things and stuff. On the left hand, that's what they were using. There's this guy, John Dee. Have you heard of John Dee?
No.
He was a powerful magician on the left hand, and he worked with the Crown of England, and he worked with Queen Elizabeth I. On the spiritual hand side, he was communicating with the spiritual demon Satan in order to have the strength and then to conquer the world with the empire, with the British Empire. That was at the very first beginning of the empire.
Because I think actually it was her who. She was the one who had was it Trafalgar? No, sorry. What's his name? The guy on I've forgotten his name now. The one who's on the tower at Trafalgar Square. No, because he's the sea captain. He's the one who defeated the Spanish Armada, and that was like the beginning. Because remember, up until then, the Portuguese were the power.
They were the power.
So when he sank the Armada, that was it. The Portuguese sank with the ships, basically.
Because they came in late into the slavery. The Portuguese were doing that way before. And then John Dee actually was communicating with the spiritual demon Satan because it was so, it was that much higher in a left-hand spirit that you can communicate with Satan. Because you have to be knowledgeable and then get into degrees. Because the normal person will communicate with demons, and then when you go up and up and up, and then you actually get to understand what power you need in order to conquer nations. And then so he was communicating, and the demons would ask him to sacrifice blood and to bring in blood to the demons. So he brought in that ideology and the left-hand knowledge to the crown. And they were essentially conquering and also killing, because people don't understand why there was that sort of like savagery when they come in and they just have to kill. They have to do all these things because they had to spill blood for the spirits.
And it's funny you say that, because I watched this Japanese program which was about guys who were getting like essentially power from the dark side. And there was one thing this guy had to do in order to create this special power sort of stone. And basically it was a whole town, and you had to get all the people were in the town, and you had to like set something off, and it would kill everyone. And then when the blood comes out, the blood was all drained out of them and formed into this thing. And it's the fact that they put someone watching that, I think, it's just a bit of special effects, but not realizing that what they've
it's a reflection of what's going on. Because if you talk to someone, they'll just think, oh, you're talking crap. This is just fantasy and whatever. But on the left-hand hand side, the spirit needs the blood to feed on it because that's the energy. It's the purest energy that it can get. Also, they believe in children because they have even more pure energy.
Well, it's funny because when you think about it, it's they both of those things you could say they got it from God because He says that he says that life is in the blood.
Of course.
But notice that God always wants unblemished sacrifices.
Yeah.
So that shows you there's something in that. So both of those things, they're essentially taking that from what God has said about His sacrifices.
Yeah. I mean, witchcraft is essentially the truth distorted.
Yeah.
So you actually turn it upside down. Even the Bible says that He has turned things upside down. And in the mercenary lodges, they always have the Bible with them.
Oh, yeah.
Because they need to have a value of truth in order to do wickedness. Because you can't do pure satanic wickedness without knowing the truth, without knowing who is the actual power, and then go against that power in order to deceive people.
And it's funny you say that. This is something I thought of. It's actually a few years ago. That the knowledge that God has given us about how to deal with the world, basically.
Yeah.
He has to actually give us the knowledge of their evil so that we can counter it. So we actually end up with.
We're learning. Yeah. We have to learn what they're doing in order to counter with the purity of the word.
And the thing about it is, I remember thinking about this, and I said this to one guy as well, that because of what I've learned about how, how these church pastors, how they deceive people.
Yeah.
Because I've looked into it, I realized that I actually know how to do it.
Yeah.
So I know what to. Yeah. So I know what the method is.
Yeah.
But then I remember thinking that if you did it, you get the money. But then what judgment day? What God's going to say.
The judgment as well.
Yeah.
So the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom.
Yeah.
And then you fear the Lord, and then you can't do that because. And then they don't have the fear of the Lord.
Yeah,
and that's why they are deprived of any sort of wisdom, any sort of understanding. They can't break down any dark saying.
And you see, and this is the thing that will confuse some of these church leaders, is that if you sat there and explained to them, you have to teach your people about evil, because they think that the way to protect their flock is to just keep them away from it and not talk about it.
And you make them spiritually open to anything.
Yeah. Because they can't identify when it's that type of attack because you've never taught them. So what they're concerned about is that you tell them about the evil, go into detail, and that they'll just jump into it. But if God's in them, that ain't going to happen. That's the thing.
Because I realize a lot of us, we know the works of evil now. We know, you read, because I've got a book called Morals and Dogma.
Oh yeah, that's that guy in
Hyde Park. So I made sure to order one of the very first editions for it, without it being revised. Yeah,
because he explains about how you corrupt the people, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's a revival of Esau's doctrine, literally on the left hand side, because what we see here, we just see the product of what they do. The normal person don't understand, or they can't correlate the actual outcome with a spiritual, a spiritual beginning to that. They need to have something on spiritual in order to affect the natural.
Yeah, because especially when it says in Revelation about the whore and the sorcery.
Yeah.
So the sorcery is. Some people would think that it's like when you do like a magic trick, like sleight of hand. But like you just said there's some spiritual element underneath there.
There's a spiritual work, spiritual work on a day-to-day basis there are. And this book actually confirms that Esau knows about the pronunciation of the Paleo-Hebrew.
Okay.
Because in the beginning it was saying some Hebrew words in Paleo-Hebrew, and then it said it's probably pronounced, but it pronounced it the way we do. Removing all the vowels. Pronouncing all the sounds, or the syllables.
Yeah.
And then they know that because it's there. He said it's pronounced that way, and then pronounce it the way we do. and then it changed now into a modern Hebrew way of pronouncing things. And I was like, this guy is a devil. But obviously, like this, I found that by 2 weeks ago actually. But I will highlight that. I put some markers into that book.
Oh, because actually, I remember all of those different books. It was, you know, GOCC.
Yeah.
They don't mention them now, but if you watch any of his videos from like maybe 4 years ago, he used to go into all of those books and do the titles and everything. So but I've noticed that for some reason, it's like when he was small, he was willing. You know what we were saying about how teaching them about the evil stuff.
Yeah.
I've noticed that of late, he's been backing away because he's got more people now.
Yeah.
It's like he's trying to. He thinks that by not talking about it as much, he can protect them somehow.
This truth is always testing us, you know, because we have to have a mindset where we can't compromise. We can't have a mindset where we have to compromise. We have to have. Of course, the Bible teaches about having a sort of like excellency of speech and things like that, good manners and things like that, you know. But it doesn't mean we have to compromise in truth.
No.
The truth is raw. Truth has always been raw. Moses said, "You have life, life or death, and choose life so you can live."
Yeah.
That's raw. He didn't say, maybe you should do this way. No, he said, you have life and death. You know, it's always been like that. And we need to tell the wicked that you will die if you don't repent. Because we know that, we are aware of that. If we don't do it, we're going to die.
That's true. Yeah.
And then tell the wicked if you have the knowledge on the left-hand side, tell them what Israel is doing on the left-hand side, what Arabs are doing on the left-hand side, what all these nations are doing on the left-hand side. Because all the major African presidents now, especially in the French, in the Francophonie, the French countries, they are high-ranked Freemasons. The president of the Congo Republic, the smaller Congo, is the head of the African Freemasonry.
All right.
You know.
But it's interesting. Those countries are the quieter ones.
Yeah.
Because the thing I found interesting is that one of the churches that I sort of go to sometimes, they've got like a guy who like has. He's like the head of the African like body, and it's strange because I asked them, so why is it he's got? I think there's one church in Kenya. I'm not sure about Ethiopia, but then the next one is in Nigeria. So I was asking him, so why has he skipped all those other countries in between, gone straight to Nigeria and then Ghana? And I've noticed that it seems like they skip around certain countries in Africa.
Yeah, they do. They do, because I mean, the truth hasn't reached Africa as much, you know, as we would like it to, but it will essentially, because the most that needs to get is elect, and the 1/3.
Well, actually, like I was saying on that Facebook, those are who I'm getting most of the replies from. It's like you can see it's the Nigerian guys, but they've got names like Muhammad. So they're like the Nigerian and Muslims.
Yeah. I mean, what they've done in Africa is terrible. It's terrible. And also, we are so destroyed. In Congo, we are so destroyed. But you see the potential, and then the things that they do, it confirms that these are children of Jacob. But then the level of our destruction, it's so bad. It's really bad in terms of they just want religion. They don't want truth. They want religion. They're comfortable with religion. They're comfortable with going to church on Sunday, and they worship as if no one else. They worship, cry, they do all these things. And then on Mondays, it's back to normal again.
And actually, I was surprised when I found, I don't know if it's still the same, but the richest pastor in the world was a Nigerian. I don't know if it's still the same case. And when you look at the amount of money he's got, it was like a big chunk above what the richest American pastors had. But I don't know if that's changed, because this was like a few years ago.
They're so rich. They are really, really rich. And to a point where people just want to be told lies. If you tell them the truth, they can't believe it, because it doesn't make sense. know what I mean?
But actually, it's funny you said that because it just reminded me of the. Can you remember the one in? I can't remember which chapter it is in Jeremiah. You know, is it 30 something? Where he's Jeremiah's telling them about something, and those women come along, and they blatantly tell him to his face, no, we will serve this, that, and the other, and we will do something to the goddess.
Yeah.
And so they were just plainly telling them, like, blatantly, that's what they're going to do.
Yeah.
And no matter what he told them, they were telling him they're guaranteed to reject it. I'm trying to remember.
And also I understand why Moses kept saying, you are stiff-necked people. You are stiff-necked. And also, our education had to be with the rod.
Yeah.
Because without the rod, we'll end up like the children on the street now, stabbing each other.
Yeah.
Doing all this madness and gangs and stuff. Because they probably grew up in a single mother house where the mother wasn't giving them a manly vibration in order to correct them as a man.
Yeah.
And they grew up to having, actually stabbing each other, killing each other is the highest feminine vibration that you can have. Because as a man, you fight it off. And you'll be like, you know what, yeah, because I've seen that so many times. People come in, fight, and I was like, you know what, okay, cool, we've done it. We've done.
But actually, I remember at school, that's what used to happen most of the time.
Yeah.
It would never, it's like you end up, because I had it a couple of times where somebody have a fight with, and for some reason you're their friend like the next day.
Yeah.
And it's kind of.
And I say, because if you look at two women fighting today, especially women with long hair, the first thing they do, they grab their hair.
Yeah.
Because they'll grab something that is away from the body, and then they, in order to kind of like get you kind of like powerless straight away. Because they can get your hair, they can do whatever with your hair, and they can attack you.
Yeah, because it pulls your head back.
And it's the same thing with having a knife, put it to someone, because you don't have to fight.
No,
you can just do something quickly. Get to them really quick, and then paralyze them straight away.
Yeah.
And get hold of them, because you get a knife and then you get hold of them, you can do whatever you want with them.
Yeah.
Because that's sort of like a feminine energy that they developed, and then they see each other coming from the same background, being in the same area, and they don't know that they are actually operating on that vibration because they were spared the rod. And then they are stiff-necked people. You tell them the truth, they won't follow it.
And it's interesting you said that about the fighting, because I remember at school, the children who would like, or the boys who like, seemed to feel they were tougher, they would always fight with their fists. Because I remember I'd never seen them even pick up a rock or anything. It was always just pure fists. And I remember that. So this concept of like stabbing, it wasn't.
It's a very feminine energy.
Yeah.
It's very feminine energy, because this is what Easter's doing as well on the left-hand side. It's bringing in, because it's actually summoning. He summoned Tammuz, Nimrod, and Semiramis. And Isis, different names and stuff for these beings.
Yeah.
And also, there's a worship of the Queen of Heaven today.
Yeah.
These guys into different ideologies, where black woman is God. This is something that we have in our communities now. And feminism, and young boys are worshiping their mums. I'll do anything for my mum. Oh, my mum, because they haven't got
I used to. They
haven't got any fathers these days.
Yeah.
And the fathers are cowards. According to the curses anyway, the fathers will be fatherless.
Yeah.
And the young boys are just worshiping my mum. So, and then there's this new transgender thing that they're bringing in now, where the Queen of Heaven, Astarte, Diana, that we just read, is being worshipped now. And it's going to be even more and more and more.
Well, but what they do is they change the names so that and then tell you it's not idolatry.
Yeah. They do feminism, they do black women's god for the Kemet. And then there's this, the UN is actually working with a sect of Amalekite Jews, these Ashkenazis and stuff like that. where they, on the left-hand side, they're bringing in the worship of the Noahide laws. The 7 laws of Noahide. It's some Kabbalah teachings, where essentially they want to make a supreme being that transcends into a being that's going to be neither male or female.
Oh, that's Baphomet.
Yeah, neither male or female.
Yeah.
And they actually going to be the norm.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah. You mean the transgender thing?
Yeah. So, but it started with the Noahide laws. The so-called Jews are bringing in, but they're working on the left-hand side underground with the UN. So if you go into the UN's website, or you can't see on the website straight away, but if you go into Google, put in Noahide laws and put in UN, United Nations, and you can get access to a PDF from their website.
Right.
And a PDF will come out on Google. So you can, on Google, you put a Noahide laws, and you can expand it with other people that research into that on YouTube. They can actually read. Essentially, they want us to become one, like at the time of Nimrod, and also not one with ideologies, but also in gender.
Yeah. Oh, it's funny you say that. Some woman was saying that apparently in the schools, I think over here, that the boys, they're not allowed to wear shorts. They're only allowed to wear long trousers, but they can also wear a dress. Yeah, she was saying that. So they've outlawed shorts though.
So but this is something that's happening, because I'm really aware of what's going on with Esau, because I grew up with Esau. I grew up around Esau's ideology, and I went to school with in Belgium with a lot of white people. I was one of the minorities, and my work field, I work in media, and then I had to move into Manchester, and I was living with Esau 24/7, working on it 24/7. You get to understand his psychology. And one of the things that I understood, that the stereotypical man, Edomite, doesn't like women. He likes men. Stereotypically, it likes men, but it would have a way to attain that, going through a woman, and then giving his man a feminine energy, a feminine vibration. So when we used to go out, they have a tendency to come like, oh man, I love you, man, especially when we drink,
Oh, but they're saying that. You know what they do in American football?
No.
Yeah, you know the way they keep patting each other?
Oh, yeah. Even the clothes they're wearing. Even how tight it is.
Yeah.
Because it's got nothing to do with your performance.
No.
Because footballers are wearing trousers. Are wearing shorts.
Yeah.
But you don't have to wear it tight. And you can see the shape of the bum. But the white owner looks at them and appreciates that. He loves the fact that his slaves look the way he wants them to look.
That's
Because he loves the male more than the woman. A woman is just a way to have children. And then now they find a way to get rid of that, because they can do it in an artificial womb. Yeah, that's what they're working towards.
I heard of that. Yeah.
So the man is going with the man, the woman is going with the woman. The children today are reversed genders. In a way that if you look at an Edomite woman, an Edomite woman is actually, like this child for example, is actually a boy. But you wouldn't know that, but you've got to do research about it. But when you see a child like that growing up like 18, 20.
Yeah, because I've seen the boys with the long hair. Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
When you look at them, when they're like 18, 20, check the Adam's apple. A lot of them have strong, prominent Adam's apple.
But actually, do you know the other way you can tell? It's the, when the arm's straight, on the woman it angles out slightly to go around the waist. Yeah, that's the other thing.
Yeah, and then the fingers are longer, and then I've noticed a lot of them, they've been trained, and then when you see them, they always have that on the train. I sit them, I'll analyze them, look at them. They always have their feet coming in, because we a lot of us, the majority of us, that finger's longer than this.
Yeah.
But it's longer, but their fingers, it's shorter. A man whose finger is shorter is reversed, and a woman whose finger is longer than that is not actually a woman. It's one of the indicators.
Oh, you're saying that's why they got it in the fist, so you can't...
They have this thing even on TV when they speak, when they see they're always like that.
Right.
When they take pictures, they don't really open it as well.
Yeah.
This little thing that they work on it in order to deceive a lot of us, you know. But essentially, we're sharing these things with people, you know, because the level of deceptions that we're dealing with today has never been seen before.
Well, it's because of this is the thing about all this technology we've been given. People mistakenly think that all these phones we've been given is because they love us and they want to have all these fancy, nice phones, so we can show people, look at my phone, it's so wonderful.
Definitely not.
But then around, it's a little robot that tracks you, records you, and it takes pictures of you. So that's what its job is.
And there's a profile somewhere they can just access it.
Yeah.
Who's this guy? Okay, cool. You see his profile, you see his likes, you see.
Because you're also on Facebook, you could check in, isn't it? Yeah.
So it's crazy. It's crazy. One of the Muslim guys wanted to talk to me Shamsi.
Oh, Shamsi.
Yeah. I don't know why.
Oh, you have to watch out for him. He'll either be friendly or he might be trying to butcher you. It depends.
I told him we can talk off cameras.
Right.
But I know their spirit.
Yeah.
I can't claim I know it, but I'm aware of their spirit.
Yeah. With Shamsi, definitely say off camera.
Yeah.
Because he always likes to do the showmanship thing.
Yeah.
But when there's no camera, he's not like you. Yeah.
Because I've seen when they came, they had a camera with them. I was talking to a Christian there. And he came round. He's a Hebrew Israelite. Yeah. And I was like, cool. Talk after camera.
Oh, but they had the camera though.
Yeah, one of the guys had a camera. Like, we talk. We got camera.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I managed to find it. It's just the way they said it. It's Jeremiah 44 and 15. But it's just what these women say. And this is the thing: is if someone came and tried to tell me, the Quran's the truth, and I read this, and when I read this, I'm thinking, but this is like our women now. So how can the Quran be the truth when it doesn't have anything like this? Because this is Jeremiah 44:15 says, "And all the men which knew that their wives had burned incense unto other gods, and all the women that stood by, a great multitude, even all the people that dwelt in the land of Egypt, in Pathros, answered Jeremiah, saying, As for the word that thou hast spoken unto us in the name of the Lord, we will not hearken unto thee, but we will certainly do whatsoever thing goeth forth out of our own mouth, to burn incense unto the Queen of Heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto her, as we have done, we and our fathers, our kings and our princes, in the cities of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem. For then had we plenty of victuals, and were well, and saw no evil. But since we left off to burn incense to the Queen of Heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto her, we have wanted all things, and have been consumed by the sword, and by the famine. And when we burned incense to the Queen of Heaven, and poured out drink offerings unto her, did we make her cakes to worship her, and pour out drink offerings unto her without our men? Then Jeremiah said unto all the people, to the men and to the women, and to all the people which had given him that answer, saying, The incense that ye burned in the cities of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem, ye and your fathers, your kings and your princes, and the people of the land, did not the Lord remember them, and came it not into his mind, so that the Lord could no longer bear because of the evil of your doings, and because of the abominations which ye have committed? Therefore is your land a desolation, and an astonishment, and a curse, without an inhabitant, as at this day. And, well, Jeremiah just keeps going on and on and on about literally the same thing. But notice the strange thing, it's the women that said it. So notice it's the women that were blatantly coming and saying about their men. So you could tell that these women were already converted to the modern women back in the Bible time.
Exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
Because a lot of our women as well are going back into witchcraft. And they return to authenticity. Our authenticity is going back into who we are according to the Bible.
Yeah.
But their authenticity is going back into the the religious practices, ancestral religious practices.
Mm.
You know, a lot of people in West Africa, they go back into Ifa, they're going back into those voodoo and things like that.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of our women going back into that. And that's the vibration pushed in the chemists, because they say black woman is God, the Queen of Heaven.
Well, the thing is,
Ashrat.
you must say they got it from here, because these women were acting like queens, weren't they? The way they were just blatantly telling.
They call themselves queen.
Yeah.
Our queens. And the black men are saying our queen. They are worshipping the Queen of Heaven without knowing.
Yeah.
Because the Queen of Heaven was a Canaanite goddess.
Well, it started
And
with
then Cushite.
Yeah, because you would have started with Nimrod, didn't
Nimrod,
it?
yeah. It was Cushite, it was Hamite, really.
Yeah.
You know, Cush, and then Canaanite, Asherot, and then back into Cush again, Isis.
Yeah, the Egyptian. Yeah.
And then in Greek, Diana.
Yeah.
And even Diana was in a region where Japheth was inhabiting that region, and our people worshipping them.
Yeah.
As well.
But you see the way.
Was the Acts? The scripture that you gave.
Oh, Acts 19.
Acts 19.
Yeah. But it's just when I read this, I just thought, how can the Muslims, they keep confidently say, oh, the Bible's made up this, that, and the other. But I'm reading too much stuff in here, which is you can blatantly see it's happening now.
Yeah.
And it's just because the way these women were just blatantly in front of Jeremiah's face, you could just imagine some women coming with their wigs and saying exactly the same thing.
They do say to us all day.
Yeah.
They do say that all day. I'll do whatever I want, you know.
And you see the way they justified it, saying that when they were doing the idolatry, they were safe, and then when they stopped, that's when the trouble happened. And so that shows you that they were actually, that's how convinced they were. And this is the thing that I remember I think I tried to say to someone about, you know how you've got like Ahab went off and worshipped Baal.
Yeah.
But when he went to worship Baal, the temple was still in Judah. So you could actually take like a few days trip down, go there, look at the temple, see the priests going in, and know that it's true, but yet you still go back and they're worshipping Baal. So it's not because the truth wasn't there.
Yeah.
It's something else that causes them to do that. It's not the lack of truth. There's some other power which like gets on people, and regardless of God could even have a priesthood here where they're doing sacrifices. You could take a day trip down there, do a live stream of them doing the thing, and then you go back and they still be worshipping the idol. So the fact that you have the truth, it's not. There's certain people who
it's not given to everyone. You know?
No,
it's not given to everyone, and also they are aware of the truth. These women are aware.
But
they don't want to do it because women want to be. This stereotypical woman wants to be comfortable.
Well, that's what they were saying, isn't it? They're saying that it's because they stopped burning while the comfort went away. So like you said, that's the thing they cared about, wasn't it? It was the comfort.
They just want to be comfortable.
Yeah,
like the women today.
Yeah.
They're comfortable. You know, you tell them stop twerking on online.
Snapchat or something.
Snapchat.
Yeah.
It's like, but I do it for myself. If I want to do it, and I'll do it. I don't need no man to tell me.
Yeah, which is exactly what you just read, isn't it? So.
This is a great precept actually. I need to.
Because actually, this is the thing. You only came across this because I just decided to read Jeremiah.
Yeah.
This is not because someone preached it or I heard it in a church or even from the Hebrew Israelite. It's just that one day I just sat down and was just reading through, and then this one just jumped out. I thought, wow, these women seem familiar. You know, the way they were talking.
Yeah. Even in the beginning as well. You know. The first seven chapters. Jeremiah goes into that, and then you can see how they're so stiff-necked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They want to do whatever they want to do, literally.
And actually, even Ezekiel gets it as well with those guys who were turned their back to the temple. It was to something, and the women were crying for Tammuz, isn't it? And the thing about it is, this is in Babylon, where it's not even a long period of time had gone by. So they knew who their God was, and already they were quick to jump on this Tammuz, and so you could tell they preferred the wickedness because
this is what's going on, because I don't know if you're aware of this thing that's going viral now about the chicken sandwich.
Oh yeah, I saw that yesterday. Yeah.
It's going viral like crazy.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of people telling them, stop with this madness, because this is purely madness. It's embarrassing. You are getting excited about a sandwich, and then that company has made 23 million in profit just by mention only. Companies are running up sandwich, and you tell them you are actually making a free advertisement for them.
Yeah.
They're like, no, so we're not allowed to be happy anymore. We're not. It's like,
that's these women again, isn't it? It's just
stop and think.
Yeah.
You are embarrassing the rest of the people, because these companies will know, you know what, the Negroes or these niggers, because that's how they see us as niggers, will jump on any hype. We just need to have a celebrity there, Cardi B or Tamar Braxton, talk about the sandwich, jump around, and then all these people will jump and they'll make it viral.
Yeah.
Jordan is viral now. The brand Jordan.
Oh no, but you mean the trainers?
Yeah, the trainer Jordan has been revived.
Yeah.
Because when it came out, when it was playing,
Yeah.
it was viral.
Yeah.
But then it died out
Right.
for a little while, and then we revived it again through the lifestyle the rappers are doing on all these people, and then they've revived that brand.
Because is it to do with the trainer I heard, which is like $900 something? Yeah.
And then the collector's trainers and all these things, and it's so expensive now. Because these people don't know that the hype that they're doing, we are naturally the trendsetters. Because we are the salt of the earth.
Yeah, true.
We're adding flavor to anything. But it's not according to knowledge, but we're doing according to stupidity.
But actually, it's interesting you say that. So it's almost like what these guys have realized is that, but this is the other thing that makes the Bible true though, when you think about it, because Jesus made these statements, and so did the prophets, and now they've taken advantage of us to get the more evil people to like take over the mind space. And so because of some natural power we have to like get something out there, they can then use that now to jump their profits up.
Yes. They use it. Because as you said, the power is moved. The reference power of Israel is moving around.
Yeah.
And also his magic, especially the Kabbalah magic, is decreasing. And that's why they're becoming more and more physical now. They're having to start to kill us on a physical basis, making, now they're pushing for more police. They're bringing in a sort of like a physical, they're preparing a physical tribulation.
Oh, but actually, their main weapon was that because one of the things but it only works really in America. The way they make it so easy to get guns down into. So they literally, because I was reading this. Was I reading? Yeah, I was reading. They actually said that apparently when you watch some TV program, they show this part sometimes in these detective programs where the guy gets the serial number of the gun and runs it on the computer. I was reading. The guy actually said that that's actually fiction.
All right.
Yeah, that they don't. There is no such database where they can actually get who the current owner of a serial number with the gun is, and that it's actually something that's put in legislation. And then when I think about that, that is to help with the aim of making sure our people can kill each other more.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've ever seen the videos about the London streets in reality. They're like these 3 videos where they show pictures of people like stabbing and shooting each other.
Oh yeah.
And it's the fact that because here's the funny thing about it is, when it comes to knives and guns, if you try to make a gun yourself, it's hard. And the bullets are especially hard to make. You need a precision factory with some computers cutting that, and so if they wanted to stop the bullets being made, that's easy. You could just pull the power on the factory, that's it, no more bullets. Because no one's going to go in their backyard and try and make a bullet by hand. That ain't going to happen. And the other thing is even the knives. Yeah, of course you can do handmade knives, but then it takes a long time. Factory just like throws them out 100 in a second or whatever. So you just have a crate of knives in like a short amount of time, rather than some guy getting a piece of metal and filing it down.
So this is the aim. They managed to succeed. They have the blessing now. The ground. They have the blessing of the ground. They don't really have to. They're still doing the witchcraft stuff, but even the hand is moving away from them. And on the left hand side, they're starting to get in touch with the Hebrew brothers, the Negroes. In terms of witchcraft, they're using more and more Negroes in order to get into that left hand side.
Oh, you mean so they're basically, well, obviously using the money they've got just apply it on them.
So they're using them in order to invoke spiritual entities. And the Negroes don't even, they know they're serving Esau still. Because invoking the spiritual entities, using them into the entertainment world, the money goes back into him anyway. It doesn't go back to the artist.
No.
So there's so many people, there's so many of our people now into witchcraft, not knowing that Esau knows that you people have a natural ability to get into the left-hand side and right-hand side spirits, and they find one and they use them in order to propagate the Babylonian mindset again.
I suppose when you think about it, it's like you've got like the woman at Endor, she had the familiar spirit. It's only in like that area of the world, in the Bible, that you mentioned the familiar spirits, and then you've got the Egyptians who could do their. So, like you're saying, it's our type of people seem to be the ones who could do the spirit stuff quite heavy. But then you go up north, they just can't do nothing.
They just can't do it.
No,
they can't do it. A lot of people just tap into that straight away. Like when I used to play music quite a lot, and at some point, a couple of years ago, at some point you have just a weird experience where you're just being inhabited. And I'll play music all night, but at a specific time I start realizing, there's a pattern here.
Yeah, like you found that the music, somehow you weren't quite produced, what was coming out. It's like there's a bit automatic.
Amazing. I was like, around 1 a.m. What I'm playing some codes that during the day I won't be able to do these chords. Or these progressions. The chord progressions I won't be able to do in the daytime. And that time, everything just starts flowing smoothly, And then the turn of the guitar as well, and the guitar was so powerful. I'm like,
so that bit Jimi Hendrix.
This is crazy. Like literally, the spirit's trying to can bring in the vibration of those spirits, and then deceive other people in order to keep them asleep and dead. And
actually, if you notice, whenever I just remember that whenever you look at the way when Michael Jackson dances, he looks like he's possessed, isn't it? The way his head jerks and the way his hands move.
I think it's a mid-trust. According to some things I looked up. It's a demon actually.
Right.
That does those movements.
The ones.
It's a demon that he possessed that came up with that. And then when you study those demons, they have those sort of movements already in sort of like Indian. Because when they draw the statues, isn't it? They got the poses, isn't it? They have those poses already, but obviously the statues don't move.
No.
But the spirit will do when it's incarnated into a human being.
And I suppose that's the thing, is that to draw those poses, you can imagine that they had some possessed people who the artists saw doing the crazy stuff, and they said, "Oh, that's a nice pose." And so they remembered what it looked like, and then they formed the statue after it.
It's crazy. Like, people are worshipping our artists, not knowing that these artists are actually bringing in spirit. As part of their craft.
Well, you could say literally, when you look at them, they are like the spirit because of the way that they change when they're performing. They become different entities. You tell someone, they'll like, "Oh yeah, you're exaggerating. You're thinking too much into things," and they make you feel like you're crazy, but you're trying to help them. This is that's the reason why in Revelation idolatry is so strong.
because we are idolizing anything and anyone. You know, we are idolizing like sports was like literally. I would never miss a day of Man United playing. And whenever I'm off, I'll go to the stadium.
When you're in Manchester?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I can't, then I'll watch. And on the way to London, if Man United is playing, I have to stream on my phone. I'll check every single news. I'll make sure I meet the players. If I can't meet the players, I'll do everything, you know. And I've never imagined myself like being at a time where United can play out, just be doing something else. And this is happening now.
And the thing about that is that there must be a spirit in the football, because I remember even when I was young, like a kid, they were already charging like £60 for like a shirt. And this was like back in the 80s, where it was like huge money. And to me, it never even made sense the price they were charging, because you could buy like a t-shirt in the shop at £5.
It's idolatry, isn't it?
Yeah, and then you look at the same shirt, it's just got printing on it, a name, and it's £60. And I couldn't get, how could someone like take the money out and buy it? But now we're talking about all the spiritual stuff. You can understand how it's the spirit that's dragging the money out. That's what's getting the money out.
It's the vibration. Because it fits with money. Blood or money. That's what it needs. Blood or money. Because actually what we're doing, by buying the shirt, like the women I was seeing, it's almost as if we're burning incense to them.
Oh yeah, because the money, giving the money is equivalent. But it's an offering.
It's an offering because we're receiving their, how do you say, vibration. Because I'm in the United vibration now. I'm wearing the shirts.
And it's the fact that, so the way you can identify it is because of the price they charge. So anything, if you see like a trainer and it's £200, then you know, okay, there's a spirit somewhere that can drag certain people in. If you see a pair of trainers like £5, then you can just grab that. That's just some cheap trainer. You just put it on your foot, nothing happens.
And if you have time as well, you can research Freemasonry and the Football Association in the UK.
Right.
So a lot of clubs were created by Freemason lodges.
Well, the other thing is the funny symbols, some of their shields, like United's Red Devils.
Yeah, the Red Devils, you know.
Yeah, I mean that's So they're like telling you, so yes, there is definitely a spirit here.
And then they sing church hymns.
That's right.
They turn it upside down and then they made it into football songs. And then people don't know they are idolizing. Glory, glory, Man United. Glory, glory, hallelujah.
Because they say glory, innit?
And then the Reds go marching on, the Saints go marching on, Spurs, they have similar hymns. You know, there's an art project I was doing. I was thinking of doing, but I still want to do it because it's still interesting. Because I do fine art and also do. I used to do that wicked thing where like modern art. Because modern art is like basically wickedness.
The one where like naked people or
like a dot in a box.
Or like sometimes they cut a dog open or animals.
So this is the Marina Abramovich and all these things. But mine was still normal. I wasn't doing any sort of like really wicked. But it's more to do with the ideology of turning things upside down.
Right.
Because that's modern art. That's basically the basis of modern art. So when the Most High kind of like got me to see that this is actually using a different vibration, and a wicked vibration, so I go out of it. But I wrote a piece that I still want to shoot, where it's a video. You divide it to part of video. On the left is football, on the right side it's religion. So
it's funny you say that. There was this video I watched. I might still have it. And it was it's to do with idolatry. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he was trying to show idolatry in the church. And what he did is he did a comparison video where you had the football supporters, and he was describing how he was giving you the sequence of events. Like they celebrate, they wave something, the players come on, then they do something else, and then you show the church, and then you use the same words to describe what they were doing, the sequence of events.
Exactly. It's a similar thing that I want to do. And so basically, I want to kind of like do like a proper worship, the people that do Christians that go to church, Muslim, Mark and here, you know.
Well, actually, that guy with the whites.
Yeah.
Because he definitely seems to be possessed with something.
He does those things, yeah?
Yeah. Well, he doesn't do it, but if you listen to what he says, weird stuff. Really weird stuff sometimes.
So it's the same. It's actually the same thing. And then on the parallel, basically it's ritualistic. Everything's ritualistic.
Yeah.
And in a church, we wear the suits, the tie. We need to put our Sunday best. In football, we wear the shirt, the football shirts.
Yeah, and it has to be the right color.
Yeah, the right color.
And you better not sit in the wrong place with the wrong color.
You know, you have your Sunday best. You have your football shirts. You have to be matching. And they have a ritual as well. For example, in voodoo, they have libation, pouring out drinks.
Or the other one is tapping the floor I've seen, and what's the other one? And you know the one where they go in the spirit and they collapse backwards? That's it. I think I saw them do that in voodoo.
Then they get possessed.
Yeah.
You know? And in football, the pre-game, we used to go to the pub, we drink, we get smashed.
Right.
It's our sort of a libation we do, and also we get possessed because we're drunk.
Yeah, so now...
And now you're in the spirit.
Yeah, it's easier for the spirit to get into.
You're in the spirit of the game.
Yeah.
So you can go into the stadium.
And now you can possess more easily.
Yeah. And then there's people around, you're all singing. There's the pastor and then there's the manager.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you have the word and you have the players.
And you know another thing, they might... You know how you were saying about the rich guys and the way that they can dress up their football players. You know, some churches are similar, where like they will have the choir. I think some of them they treat the choirs like dolls, isn't it? The way that they dress them, they give them this set way of
colours, coordination, all these things.
And then there's this other thing I remember one time on High Street in Croydon. I was talking to this guy, you know, about something from the Bible, and the thing is, they had some of the young women from their church were dancing beside, and eventually when I sort of gave up with the guy, I asked him, do you think what they're doing, do you think that's okay? Because essentially what it was is each of the women, all of them were wearing leggings, so all of them had tight leggings on, and they were dancing around, you know, when they stick their bum out, spinning around, and they were doing that, and it's supposed to be a church. And I'm telling the guy, so you reckon that's okay? And the guy, you could tell he's like one of the tame zombie guys, who whatever the pastor says, he just agrees with it. Even if he's going into the lake of fire, the pastor is the truth, and no matter what. So when you just see them, and I just said to him, so, well, but look, how could someone tell that that's got to do with God when they're wearing tight leggings, waving themselves around? You know, no one could ever work that out. But yet the pastor's allowing them to do it because he knows.
Idolizing the pastor.
Yeah, and he knows. So, like we were saying about the spirit, it's like the pastor knows there's a certain spirit by making them, letting them wear the tight stuff and move around. So he knows by getting them to do that, it something makes them more inclined to actually do it. So he's really taking advantage of something in them to want to do it, and then he can now have men going past lusting after them wearing their tight clothes and moving around.
There's a reason why the devil got into Eve first.
Oh yeah.
Because she's a weaker vessel. You know, and then she gets attracted by things like crystals, astrology.
Yeah.
You know, and she's like amazed by it, mesmerized.
But actually, do you know what gives it away in that garden? It's what she says.
Yeah.
Because you know, it's like when the serpent asked the question, but no, it's like he didn't tell her what to say. She's the one who actually came. She's the one who gave like the amazing.
And then she didn't even want to stand up for herself. She was like, "Oh yeah, we've been told not to." She's like, "No, I don't want to do it." Just say no. Just say no. Just
she made it like someone else.
We've been told not to do it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Like Yahweh said, "Get behind me, Satan." Leave.
Yeah.
Don't tempt me. Eve was like, "Oh yeah, but we've been told not to do this."
Yeah. And it's just the way that. And here's the thing about it is that when you, because it's Genesis 3 and 6, and when you read it, you can actually tell that God's actually giving the writer, he's reading her mind, because it says here, and when the woman saw that the tree was good for food and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and the tree to be desired to make one wise. She took of the fruit thereof and did eat, and gave on also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. So notice that, all right, the woman saw the tree was good for food. So, well, okay, so good for food. How can you look at something and tell it's good for food? So that something's possessed her straight away, because that's like a weird thing to say. And it was pleasant to the eyes. Okay, yeah, so women like to dress up, they like pretty things, so that makes sense. And the tree to be desired to make one wise. No, how are you supposed to work that out? That doesn't even. But somehow Eve is making these statements are coming into her head, which are like already like gone into some weird spiritual thing.
It's a spiritual thing because it was essentially witchcraft, and witchcraft on the left hand side. Because what we're doing today, even though we have the knowledge of what Esau is doing on the left hand side, with Kabbalah and all this mysticism, it's not for us to touch, to get anywhere near of it, because essentially we're worshipping Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, the only power, true power. Where we don't need that, and it wasn't enough for Eve, because she was still being attracted by it. And then when you get into the word, have you looked into the word serpent in Hebrew? So it gives it away as well, because the root word of serpent is one who practices divination.
I'm just seeing what. All right, it says whisper a magic spell, generally to prognosticate, certainly divine enchantment, diligently observed. That's a good one. So that shows he a bit of spying to.
He was someone with sort of like it's not wisdom, but cunning wisdom. He knew, because there's always that obsession with the worship of celestial elements.
God already said that they worship the stars, sun.
Elements. Job talks about it as well. Goes into details with that as well, the astrologies and things like that. And it's the same thing in every civilization, because everything has to be in a celestial element. And then that's where they draw out the spiritual power. The Queen of Heaven that we've read as well. And this is the thing that the woman would be attracted.
But it's just the fact that the stuff she was, and this is all, not what she was saying, this is what was in her head. So God had to read her mind and then tell the writer this is what she's thinking, because she wasn't saying it, but this is what. So somehow the serpent didn't really speak this stuff into her head. It meant that something was there, but the serpent knew how to get on target to get it out of her, and to make her like think on that part of what was in her mind. And the thing is, that shows you that you know that the Muslims complain about how God didn't make Adam and Eve perfect because they sinned. But the thing is, the perfection is in how they could function. So the fact that Eve could have all these thoughts, obviously, that's a high level of brain she's been given to be able to think these like things. And it's just because there obviously was these weird parts in her brain, and there was the good parts, but she went for the wrong part.
Exactly. There's always a duality in everything. What we operate in righteousness. Because we cannot murder, we cannot kill, but there are certain laws which you have to kill the person, stone the person to death.
Because that's the judgment.
It's not a contradiction.
No.
It's execution of righteousness. You have to use a law that is still carries on justice or bring forth life. Because let's say a misbehaving child in the Torah, when he misbehaves so much, he gets stoned to death.
I was reading that. That's Deuteronomy 21.
But when you understand it, it's not just for the sake of killing, they're preserving the soul of that child. When he can come back again. Because he bore his wickedness straight on the spot. When the parents are doing wickedness, it goes on to the children's generations. And then the elders will decide to get rid of the child straight away because it can come back again.
Yeah.
And we start again and then have a chance to kind of like clean up the lion. And then this is the concept as well that the ancestors in the Luba tribe in Congo used to have. You know? And with the lions and the child and etc. So, you know, when you come back and you just kind of like keep the purity of your lineage, literally. But yeah, and then Eve had to execute righteousness, really.
Yeah. So basically, so God already made her so that she could think in, like, because you could tell that she was intelligent, because when she said afterwards about how the serpent beguiled her, so she actually understood that he used the method against her.
Yeah.
So she wasn't completely dumb, but she knew she fell for it.
Yeah.
Like after the consequences of what happened.
A lot of people today, they fall into wickedness and then they're comfortable with it. Eve wasn't comfortable with it because she knew.
Yeah.
She knew that she was naked now.
Yeah.
You know? It could be, I don't know, it could be an element of novelty because it was the first time she was in a different sort of like a atmosphere. But even that, you can't really explain the fact that she knew she was in the wrong now.
Yeah,
because
but
some people get comfortable with it.
But it's also the fact she used the word beguiled.
Yeah.
Because that shows you that she was like a educated woman. Because coming up with a deep word like that, she doesn't say trick me. She actually used like a proper.
Beguiled, yeah. So the serpent used an ideology against her in order to seduce her.
Yeah, and she wasn't completely stupid.
Yeah.
That she didn't remember, like, so she obviously had the intelligence to know what he was doing, but she knew she fell for it.
Yeah. It's I mean, the Muslims can't stand against this. They can't stand against the Bible.
Yeah, but because I was actually this one about the son you just mentioned, because when you read this, some people, like, especially the atheists, they'd read this as, oh look, they got a son and they stoned him to death. But when you actually read it, you can see why he got stoned. Because it says if a man have a stubborn and rebellious son, which will not obey the voice of his father or the voice of his mother, and that when they have chastened him will not hearken unto them, then shall his father and his mother lay hold on him and bring him unto the elders of the city and unto the gate of the place, and they shall say unto the elders of the city, this our son is stubborn and rebellious, he will not obey our voice, he is a glutton and a drunkard, and all the men of his city shall stone him with stones that he die. So shalt thou put away evil from among you, and all Israel shall hear and fear. So, you notice what God's effectively saying is that if you're stubborn and rebellious against your parents, that's evil. And you're supposed to be put to death. So it's simple. That's how much authority your parents are supposed to have over you, and you're supposed to respect it to that level as well.
It's something that we don't have today.
So, because at the beginning it says about he will not obey the voice of his father or the voice of his mother, and that's why he's getting put to death, because he wouldn't do those two very important things.
And doing evil amongst you.
Yeah, but by not.
Yeah, he could have said a little leaven, I leaven the whole lot, and that's how Israel was actually, because the Most High punishes us as a collective.
Yeah.
And then, in order to remove evil, and we need to remove that. In order to keep the collective clean.
Because you can imagine if this child had lived, you imagine what madness could have ensued.
Yeah.
Because now he would have, you see some of the stuff that's happened here at that Speakers Corner where some people are fighting.
Yeah.
That kind of shows you know, what the end result is. So what the atheists are saying is, no, we should keep him alive and just have them go crazy instead. So how does that help? That actually makes things worse. So that means, so it shows you that God's right. Yeah. So he's about order, not about having some mad person messing the place up.
Yeah, order, and also there's logic to everything. Because the logic is actually a spiritual understanding of what he gave us. Because he gave us that understanding. It's not something that because I used to read this, it didn't really make sense to me before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then he gave that understanding now, and you're like, okay, and then you know that we need to function according to him, according to what he wants, not according to what we want.
No.
Really.
And you know when I first used to read the Bible before, like when I was in the world, I still used to read the Bible.
Yeah.
And no, this is the thing. When I was a child, I used to mostly read the Old Testament because of the action parts.
Okay, yeah.
And to me, the New Testament didn't make any sense. Because the thing about the New Testament, because that's the intellectual part. So obviously, as a child, I had no clue what was going on there. And it's only when I became an adult and was older that when I saw what the interactions and what they were saying, that I could understand it and realize, I see now. So, and I could understand why I couldn't get it as a child, because the stuff is quite deep. The stuff Jesus is saying, Paul's saying, the apostles are saying.
Very.
And when you just like a child, like Paul says about being a child, you just can't get.
You don't know much.
No.
But that's the thing as well with this truth, is to know how to balance ourselves, and also asking for what we can eat in measure. Because I remember when I first got into the truth, when I first opened, I was so excited. The mind was everywhere, just. And then the most I would just give a message, just slow down, calm down, calm down, calm down. And I just keep hearing the same thing, just calm down, just chill. I couldn't control myself. Anyone next to me, you're an Israelite,
Right.
I was just wow. And at some point, I was reading some tags and things. Just calm down, just take it easy. So I had to kind of like start again. I was like, you know what? Let me just start again, because I used to have like notes on one of my Bible apps. I just write with notes on my apps and everything.
All right, yeah.
And then I've lost my phone just broke down. I lost all my notes in there.
Yeah, no, you should back up. That's one thing I do.
And I was like, I was feeling so low, because all the breakdowns I was having on the first few months, 24/7, just writing all the breakdowns.
Yeah.
And I had to start again. I realized, no, you know what? That's the most I wanted me to start again, because I started, and the way I was starting was on an over-righteous path, because I know I'm an Israelite. This is what I'm going to do. The Christian church is the devil. All these things, the white man's the devil. It's not. And then it was overboard. When I started off again, I started off from the very, very beginning, for the meats now. For the milk. The milk as a child, and little by little, getting there. Not rushing to know the deepest part of how to break down, or the biggest dark saying, things like that. Slowly. And then little by little, I don't know. For me, there's just logic to everything. Anything I'm reading, there's logic.
Yeah, because the thing is that what's in the Bible is supposed to be understood. That's the thing about when I used to read, like Paul. You know how the Christians like, twisting what he says to their own ends. But what I realize is that you have to take what Paul says. So if Paul says in Acts that he was just preaching for law and prophets, that means everything you read there, you can't actually twist it. It has to match what Paul said. If Paul says that's what he did, that's actually what he did. So that means that if you then think what he said means the law's done away with, that means you're misreading it, guaranteed, because Paul said he didn't say that.
He didn't say that.
No.
He clearly says that Paul followed the law. 21, isn't it?
Well, he said it twice. He said it once when he was with James, but then there's another time when he was being interrogated, and he mentioned it.
He said he followed the law.
Yeah.
Would you like to have a little walk around?
Yeah, because actually there's someone that's supposed to meet in here, but but I didn't see him when I was walking up. But normally you look and find me.
For me, I'm just so happy. Like whenever I see someone waking up